La ilaha illallah Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for taking time to learn how to thank the source of it all. In the East, whenever there were big gatherings, they would make one soup which differed from different places. It was one thick, wholesome soup that had everything in it. In my town, it used to be called shulliq al-amkar. It had everything in it also. A bit of meat, a bit of this, a bit of bones, a bit of lentils, anyway. So today I'm going to do that for you.
MashaAllah.
It is all going to be relating to the ultimate, the constant, the perpetual quest, hope, anguish, suffering, and joy of human beings. Which is, what is it about? Where are we? Who are we? Why are we afraid of this or that? Why is there suffering? Why is there so much sorrow? Why is there so much disagreement? Why do we love agreement? Why do we love love? Why is it that we all, each one of us, have similarities and have differences? So you can call it differentiated sameness. This is one name for that soup. Another one name is that the freedom of no choice. We all want to be free. We all want to choose. What is it you want to choose? Why do you choose A, not B, and then regret it later? Or show off that you did the right choice? What is that pattern? What is the origin of that ever-changing algorithm? Why is it that you're all the time seeking something that is permanent, that is ever there, and yet you're hanging on the impermanent, on air and water, birth and death? These are the issues that in our present day, most intelligent people want to go through and reach the conclusion. Rather than this religiosity, that religion, this madhab, this. So, differences are the most natural thing in the nature of this duality, of this existence. So you have to accept it and deal with it and grapple with it. And sometimes you suffer, sometimes you burn, sometimes you create something pleasant. Unavoidable. You cannot be detached fully from the ups and downs of breathing, moving, sleeping, waking, connecting, all of the rest of it. So it is a participative battle. But where is the victory? You don't just want to win one battle. You want victory. You don't want just success and then fail. It's boring. It's not reliable. But yet we all know from the facts of the situations, of the drift of time, from evolution, from the millions of years that we also creatures have been drifting along that destiny, in that there is an increase in awareness. There is heightened awareness. There is higher and higher consciousness all over. So if you are interested in factuality, just looking at things as they are, every year has got indicators that show it is better than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 100 years ago. Whichever measure you take, poverty across the whole world, much less now than it has ever been. And. So you need to see things for as they are. Far more number of people, 6-7 times more than they were just about 100 years ago. Now, hopefully it is going to reach a stable point and not increase, because the poor earth has been declaring its suffering, cannot take more. But you must read things for what they are. As humanity, 3,000 years ago, we were on the verge of extinction. There were not many roaming around, and one or two natural disasters and so on would have wiped it out. So 15, 1600 years ago, it was a kind gesture to hope for go forth and increase. Now it's a stupid gesture. And look, wherever you turn, you're bumping into another idiot who wants to be God, or king, or ruler, or whatever, or despot. And why is that? Why everybody wants to be number one? Why everybody wants to be seen by those whom he or she loves, that he or she is now won the game, or is number one? Every one of us, we are inclusive in that mythical way of life. We all want to be the best. We all want to excel. And as you know, sometimes you do excel and sometimes you don't. Now, those of you who have been exposed to the natural drive to witnessing perfection, you wonder, how can I then witness perfection if I tried to excel and I failed? Where is the perfection in that? It's very simple. You are a complete universal entity having a drift, the beginning of a birth and an end of a death. And in between, you are all the time seeking the utter perfection, but experiencing perfect, imperfect, success, failure. So how do you resolve? Very simple. You have to judge as a human being. Put your judgment aside and look at the situation in perfect simplicity for what it is. So he thought so, she thought so, they thought so, there was more noise, there was a lot of more clutter, and they started quarreling. So you see the perfection in what appears to be chaotic. And then you go past it. So you first, as a human, you judge it. You don't like that. Everybody has likes, dislikes. No. But then, if you really want to see things as they are, stop your judgment. Just be a witnesser, and you'll see how perfect it was. He said something she didn't understand, and she had her birthday, and he thought no, because his office, they've just fired him. Pum, 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 pum. So they say, we are not compatible. Well, how can you be compatible? You're two different idiots, each with the ever-changing agenda. So how can? What I want to share with you is based on the most important issue in life, and that is space and time. There is nothing ever you and I can experience unless it's one of two. You had a motherly womb, now you have the earthly womb, which also leads to the tomb. So that is space and time. That womb is space and time. It is the cradle of your awakening to the light, and it can be your deathbed right now. I'm going to intersperse it with some poetry. It's a new volume. It's called Wait. Wait. More time needed. Always. Never enough. As long as there is time, never enough. Wait more. Complain if that helps. What else is patience other than objecting to time? Where cures and cure are hand in hand. But as for now, just wait. Time is not ready for you, as your birth was before time. So just wait. Now, there are two things in that story of wait. You either stop time, if you're able to truly meditate, stop any movement, just stop. Or, if you are very much a subject of this age, that you have to rush and hush and push and be in traffic, cursing everybody and call it what a cruel world it is, if you are in that situation, as most of you are, then try and imagine yourself going past the speed of time. It's easy to think of 50, 100, 10,000 miles an hour, whatever, but go faster than light. Then you go beyond the capsule of space and time. Everything that exists has its boundaries and its cover. Gravitational field has a boundary that you cannot get out of it unless you fly at a speed of somewhere around 17,000 miles an hour. So you get out of the gravity field. And then you can then be circling the Earth. Tiny little drop in this vast galaxy, which is a tiny galaxy and very unimportant galaxy out of the galactic billions. So put things in perspective. We all want to experience a state that is not in time. That's why whenever also, especially couples, quarrel, he or she says, give me more time. Well, more time, you're already 60 years old. We'll say, give me more time. What more time? If you can't do it in the time when you are still young and able, you will never be able to do it when you're old. That's why later on I will only ask for those who are only 9 years old to stay. Everybody else, please go and find where your tomb is, because you're already on the way there. So celebrate that. But people are scared because they have spent so much time decorating their self, their face, their hair. But imagine it as you are doing it, that the worms are nibbling all the time. So don't put too much stuff, because a lot of it is poisonous and toxic. Most of the stuff you put on your face. Poor worms. Anyway, so number 2 is called presence. They have all gone. Some may never come back. A few may appear again, hopefully in your hallucination or somewhere. You know what? They have died, they have gone. Can you imagine? Most of the people have died before. Suddenly they appear to you one day, you are invited for a tea party, and they're all there. So my God, Uncle Howard is there. Auntie Sania was the most awful woman. And where? And the other lady always loses her teeth. She leaves them behind somewhere. And another lady loses her rings. And on and on and on and on. Some may never come back. A few may appear again. Such is our world. Arrivals and departures. Until the final exit. Closing all chapters. End of all with endless uncertainties. With a glimmer of reality. Passing shadows and shapes, mostly confusing, occasionally reassuring, mostly bittersweet, with touches of truth, if you can sense it. If you can sense it, if you connect with it, if you seek it and want it, that aroma tells you of the abode of perfect presence, which you were hearing before. There are 2 famous Sufi masters earlier on of Baghdad. And they are both called Shahabuddin. And they are both Suhrawardis also. But anyway, so one of them had coined this fantastic word. Said, I belong to Nakuja Abad. And that time also, Arabic and Persian were often interchangeable. It is the place that is perfect, but not a place. It's a state. It's a hal. Occasionally you touch it. Until such time, it becomes accessible to you as a natural switch. The same way as many of us have a switch of anger or a switch of generosity. And you can do that with many, especially Indian Muslims here in South Africa. If you are after collecting few pennies, They're all very penny misers also. But if you are after a few pennies, so start with the person, you are known for your generosity. Salim knows these tricks. You are well known for all your big contribution. There are 9 mosques you built. So you pumped the thing up. You brought that page of the biography. And then you come to where you wanted, you see. You know, but now we are building this orphanage and we need some help. Anyway, but many of the businessmen here are intelligent enough to escape before that final punchline comes. They say, you know, really, I had to go to the bank, you know, or whatever. Or my wife's birthday and I forgot last year and I had a hell for a whole year. Anyway. So, presence. I have 7 points I have to go through. To know truth. Who are you to object? He asked. He then left us in suspense with a ray of hope before quenching our thirst, not there again. Whilst we were all lost, trusting in mistrust. You know, everything begins with neutrality. A baby doesn't know what trust or mistrust, good or bad. So we teach them, differentiate. No, this is not this, don't scream too much. And then when they are 5 or 6, they learn the tricks of the old people. And then when they are teenager, we want them to be normal, whatever that means. The poor people, they are having raging hormonal, all kinds of hurricanes. Be normal. So when they are 40s, they've had enough battles, enough scars, then they all appear to be quite sensible and what we call boringly wise. Very wise. Everybody's wise. The children, the young people, quite naturally, run away, quite rightly. So the grandmother says, but why do they run away? I thought they will come to me. Probably you're a boring person. You know, they want to go to the mall and change new clothes, new. Why always new? Why always old? This is a very old, it is the earliest Greco-Roman earrings. So it's a museum piece. It's fantastic. It's a bit of gold which also came to the earth, flung at the earth later on. These metals all came later with asteroids. And here it was used 3,000 years ago. It was touched by Nero. It becomes valuable. So old or very new, fresh, nobody's even seen it. Even the designer doesn't know it. Because he or she now is in a coma. They're all like this, these, especially the fancy designers. Either very, very, very new, fresh, now. Or old, before time. So you're all the time scratching on the box to get out of time. If you think about it, it's so obvious, so beautiful. You want to get out of the box of space and time. Trusting in mistrust. So you begin by uncertainty, mistrust. But you have in you a drive from your soul, which is timeless, to accept. You have no option other than to accept. You have to accept willingly or unwillingly. So why not willingly? Because if you do it with intelligence, and there are countless levels of intelligence, there is normal intelligence. The intelligence of an ant is different to the wasp, to the mouse, to the lion, to the human being. And these are basic levels of. Then there is emotional intelligence. No. Most people are emotionally very deficient, as you know. I think most of your children you find are emotionally quite retarded. Why? Because they wanted to please the uncle and the aunt and the school and to lie and conceal what they are doing at the same time. It's impossible. So they are emotionally very distant. So I know it because I'm one of them. So then you move into higher intelligence, higher reasoning, and until they call it SQ, spiritual intelligence. I don't know what that means. But it means subtler. Think of it as a glue. We begin with it's very simple glue, and eventually it becomes natural intelligence, more universal. So you start with complete ignorance, and you end up positive ignorance in that you know you don't know. But then you know deep, 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 deep down in your own heart that you will be given what you need to know at the time is appropriate for you. Otherwise, you walk around with the encyclopedic rubbish on top of your head, and they call it information overload. Throw your cell phone away. If you haven't done it, we'll do it as before you leave. And you'll be bereft for the rest of your life. You don't know where you were, who were you, what account, what this, what did you say to who. Can't survive without that connection. Remember, every one of us is hanging on connection. You're connected to life. And you have the audacity of calling it my life. Who gave it to you? Show me the contract. Who were the witnesses? My life. You only live once, they try to frighten you. So as you go and consume more and spend more. You only live once. You owe it to yourself to give yourself a break. Because you are breaking down as an idiot. I can see it. So give yourself a break. From what? From your own illusions. So you want to connect with that which is the source of connections. Without denying other connectedness. That your kidneys are connected with your liver. That they are speaking with each other. You don't hear it, thank God. Can you imagine if you're hearing all your organs? I mean, there would be the most catastrophic situation, especially if 10 people are sitting together. I mean, suddenly, really, your pancreas decides to scream. Today I've been abused. And the language of the pancreas is slightly different of that of the blood cells, See this amazing cacophony that so-called you is. You begin to be aware of a bigger cosmology until you want to connect more, and continue connecting with what you like. And to disconnect with what you don't like. Don't give me that news. I don't like them. There is no money in there. Or they have not honored me. Because I thought I'm so important, so they did not honor. They did you as spiritual beings, big service. But as a human being, no, because you've come with your pomposity and they didn't honor you. Say, you don't know who I am. So please go and announce it. And he doesn't know who he is. I haven't met anybody who does. Because once you say it, then you are a liar. Once you say I, then there is a separation. There is a wave of your sound that goes up and goes down, not acceptable. We want that which is utterly, constantly, not subject to change. That's called haqq. Other people give it different names, God, Allah, and they started quarreling. Because my God is better than yours. Came later. Our religion is more recent, more new. And we fight. We are not pacifists. You don't know. And because you want to belong to that which is beyond the best. And everybody imagines that mother was the best. That's why often also men or something, especially if the mother died young, they always look for a wife or a partner who had some resemblance to the mother. To continue. It's all continuity. Truth is ever continuous. Life is ever continuous. Your life is not. If you stop calling it your life and just go into life, then you go beyond fear of death. Because life is forever, and your life is like a drop of the ocean, not separate from life itself. So what is the big deal? You're going to die anyway, so do it cheerfully in a convenient time. Don't do it when there's a gathering or others, or there is a banquet. Do it when there's a wedding. I think that would be nice. To remind them, you see. Yes. Maybe 2 or 3 of the uncles and the aunts who are geriatric that pull themselves to the wedding thing. They should do it then. Prophetic teaching is that if you have a choice between going to a wedding or to somebody's burial, don't ever think of the wedding. Go to the burial. But of course, this is not the teaching amongst the Indians, Muslims that I know. There's a new Islam. This is their own version, you see. So you have to bear in mind that, really. They all want, and they end up being going to from somebody's sickbed to a wedding and to the cemetery. So there is a tripod you find. Where are you going? It's a very special wedding. I can't miss it. Otherwise they say, who am I? Why come I not come? Also I have this dress. Or if you are a woman here, you say, they have endless saris. They don't know what to do with them. I guarantee you now, some of the Indian ladies here, I question them, how many saris you have never worn? Actually, you'll have a nice pile. Please leave it outside here. There is a taker. We know you must laugh at our culture. You must truly laugh at yourself. You know, it's a myth. Every one of us is a myth. But there is a truth in that myth. And that truth is what gives it sentiency. So you have to laugh at yourself. There is no self. Self is a shadow which is illumined because of the nur or the light of your spirit or your soul. So there is only that. You can only know your soul or spirit via yourself. So don't deny the shadow, but be careful. It is like a storm. It can take you on and destroy you. So earlier on in your life, there is a movement in life. Earlier on, you have to be weary of your ego because you want it to be admired, loved, respected, and they don't. So, because this is how it is in the outer world. It's up and the down and constantly changing. And he who respected you now will despise you and. Endless. Because twos are not real. In reality, there is only one. As soon as you see someone else, the problem begins. And that is why you need to have arbitrators, you need lawyers, you need this in between. Twos and threes and others, otherness is an illusion based on the most perfect conclusion of oneness. So don't go into this oneness, tawheed. Tawheed becomes a subject of studies. It's not like this. Absolute truth is truth itself, and that's one wherever you go. So you have to accept where you are in your own state. You mustn't pretend all the time. One of the biggest issues when there were teachers around, I don't see many nowadays, but when they were, especially 100, 200 years ago in the East, most villages and towns had an enlightened or semi-enlightened or some sheikh or some peer or somebody. Usually they had big beards also, and often white. But some of them also painted it black so as to be youthful. Anyway, they found some obscure hadith that it is good for you to paint your thing black. Whatever. Anyway, we are very funny people. We all the time want to have some reference so it gives you power. And you find if they are referring to a prophetic teaching, immediately their voice changes. They suddenly sit upright, immediately. So that means all of you have to cower down. I have now become the exclusive representative of the Prophet. That's why for centuries the East, they ended up having dictators and despots. Because they all the time were looking for somebody to descend from top. In the West, they scrapped that a few hundred years ago, especially when they hanged a king and a few other things, revolts, and also the French Revolution 200 years ago. So we scrap it all, and they also labeled it the age of enlightenment. I don't know what that means. Or what it means that we are able to think in our own miserable, stupid minds. That's what it means, the age of enlightenment. That means don't obey the church in everything. So now it's coming to the so-called Muslim world. That the young people say, no, thank you very much. You know, they also invent reasons. I have to go for this class, I have to go for that. Quite rightly. Not long ago, where these people are also quite a lot of Wahhabi type of Muslims. So we went to a mosque. I was a little bit late. 2-3 people took me. The fellow was screaming his head off. There were not many people in that mosque. Nicely built, you know, they built very well because they feel guilty. So they have underfloor heating, all the carpets, but listen to the software, you are disgusted. Anyway, so he was saying, the young people don't come here. And screamed, and he saw me, he greeted me. I was like, God, he knows me. What mistake have I done in my world to know these people? Anyway, after the sermon, he rushed to me. He said, I'm so glad you are here, Sheikh Sahib. No young people. I said, if I were young, I wouldn't come to listen to this rubbish. And you're screaming. So that was the end of the conversation. Oh, John, they want experience of something that is durable. Parents don't have it, no teachers, so they go like this from here to there. And if they want money and other things from the parents, then they, of course, they are obedient because it's a trade-off. So they go for the Jum'ah, they go for this, and some of them become even Hafiz. So poor Hafiz, he has to take 6 or 7 with him to so-called paradise in afterlife. Isn't it 7? They go along? So you have a silly. That is why the whole thing has become absurd. Our deen is not absurd. Our deen is based on a permanent, perpetual, perfect light from which other lights emerge. Zillions of lights. Until such time you always know that you also have an ego. You like to be considered. You have to take care of your own body. This is your little universe. But look at what amazing universes there are. They're all self-correcting, self-governing, amazing. But we need to stop in between and be participative. You can't withdraw. You can't artificially, you may need every now and then to have a few days off, whatever, silence, quiet. But you can't not be involved and associated and every now and then catch a chill or a cold or a poison. Unavoidable. It is the extent of it. Until such time, the Quran describes it, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ دَائِمُونَ. You are perpetually tuned to the infinite. Then the finite doesn't matter. But you have to be honest with that. Don't inflict it on others. Most people trying to have more of that higher connectedness, less of the inner, lower, changing connectedness. We're all the same. So it depends where are you on the ladder of the rise in consciousness. And be honest about it. Don't brag. Quran is full of ways of telling you how you will be tested. وَلْيَمْحَصَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. So as you come to know what's in your heart. So don't tell the child off when he or she have come to show off what a ridiculous imposter you are. They're doing you a service. Oh, now this little child always showed how I am. Honesty, honesty, honesty. Do it as though it's the last thing you're doing. So you are free from the illusion of the profile you have built for yourself. If you are in the corporate world, then of course all of it is corporate lives. So you have to redo your CV all the time. Every 2 hours you have to redo it, you see. So that's something else. That is because a single lie is easy to overcome. But a more complex corporate lie, you end up here where governments and corporates maniacs are completely interchangeable. 50 years ago, nowhere in the world you would have thought that a CEO, who are most of them also as psychopaths, could instantly go to the government and become a minister. Not anymore. It is exactly interchangeable. So reflect upon this. So the so-called public service has become synonymous with corporate raids and corporate abuse and corporate monopoly. And everybody says, no, we try to be charitable. What are you talking about? What does it mean being charitable? Is there any alternative other than corporate-based CV? So you have to be honest, you have to see it for what it is. It isn't against corporations or against that, if you like, ethos. It is against the ganging of people who monopolistically inclined and want mainly bigger profit, and the illusion of the Anglo-Saxon model, you are indebted to the shareholders. Fine, indebted to shareholders. But for how long? And for how wide in the world? It's not going to last. In the last few years, more and more, the best of the books in the field of finance and economics point out to the fact that shareholders' interest needs to have a longer period of time and wider horizon, meaning more global. Shareholders' interest is that this amazing, incredible, huge tonnage of poison that comes out from most factories is thrown out quickly before anybody else notices. Or if it is nuclear, it's even worse, so they have to go and dump it anywhere else they can. Poor country, they don't know what it is, so we're going to give you half of your GDP if you allow us to dump. They don't know what's happening. So you find all kinds of deformed children and babies. It's reaching to a point where there are few voices, not that many, pointing out, so we are all the same. Humanity is one humanity. The differentiation is in culture, in economic standing, in education, in social welfare, and. But essentially, potentially, we are exactly the same. In what way? We want the same. What is that same? Reasonable health, reasonable shelter, reasonable clothing, good connection, decent food, decent water. I came to South Africa just over 20 years ago. There was so much water, because I come from a desert, so I couldn't believe it. Huge amount of waste. I remember then I said, if you really want to be in business, go into water and bottled water. But I'm against it because I think this is, in my special, if you like, reading, is haram. Although it's a service, but water should be free, air should be free, love should be free. Without love, you don't connect. Unconditional love is what everybody wants. And if the child or the baby doesn't get it, they end up deformed, as we know. Look around and you'll see. They have not had unconditional love. The mother has suffered, the father was a bit of a despot, and everything carried on, and they went to the mosque or to the church. We have to read it. But the good news is that people are beginning to awaken more and more and more to the truth that you are not who you think you are. Who you think you are is a bit of it. And it's changing. It's not there when you are deep asleep. It's not there when you are under anesthesia or when you are in a coma. Or you're not the same when you are angry. You're not. So who are you? They begin to say, well, I heard that I must be a spirit or a soul or a ruh. Good. Give me the qualities and the nature of the ruh. You say it's boundless. So you love to get out of space and time. How often do you do it during the day? Then you are not calibrating. The minimum amount is at least 5 to 10 times a day. Few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so that you switch off. Mindfulness needed until you go beyond the mind. Mind is the link between the so-called you, the biographical you, and the cosmic light that has given you life. So put that aside. You recalibrate, you recharge. So, trusting in mistrust. You begin, say, I don't know. That's fine. But what I need to know, I will be given to know it at the time. So you have trust. You move from mistrust to trust. Waiting for the next breath. Waiting for better life. Without knowing what it is or why. Every one of you has got some hope. Tomorrow will be better. The rand will improve. My wife will be less obnoxious. Or the neighbor will be less noisy. Or whatever. Without knowing what it is or why, or for how long. But I love you. How long? Forever. Papa, you're going to die. No, but I love you forever. Poor woman now, next life you even have to have this idiot there too. Because you got used to it. So you get used to whatever it is. It's a cat, a dog, a mouse, or even a so-called partner. Or for how long? Or the real story. What is the story? Where is your end? What is the end of that story? That's why people have become a bit religious or spiritual. They say, oh, the beginning and the end are the same. Most people don't know what they are talking about. It means it's not subject to space and time. beginning and the end are not separate because they are in a zone of complete connectedness, oneness. So, without knowing its beginning, is it like truth without a beginning or an end? Only truth knows the truth. You must have fun with your deen, with your path. You must have fun with your spiritual insights. Otherwise it becomes pompous. It's not liberating from the illusion of separateness and dualities. It's called the perfect partner. Well, perfect partner. The quest for a soulmate, the incessant drive for the perfect partner and companion, uncertain outcome at best. You know, I really thought he was wonderful. He was lovely when I first met. You know, he was generous. He even remembered my birthday. And ding, 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 ding. And 20 years down the line, I dressed my dress. I even put earrings, and he even doesn't notice. What happened? It was novelty. And novelty wears off. So that what remains is an aspect of the original essence. Are you disappearing together? Are you praying together? Are you entering into the zone of foreverness together? Otherwise, of course, it won't last. Understandable. But you are nostalgic after something that was touched for a moment, a zone of timelessness. That's all. That's why people take to drug and drink, to forget themselves, to enter into a zone of oblivion. But that is illicit, and the house will come crumbling on you. You have to be able to touch oblivion out of yourself any minute, any time, and recharge. So, uncertain outcome at best, most often a breakdown, accompanied by blame and claim. Everyone is wrong except oneself. You're all wrong. You don't know what happened. You know, especially if you find a middle-aged woman, you know, you can see from their frown and the extent of cosmetics. See, really, they were not just to you. They didn't do you justice. Immediately she will sit down and listen. You say, you really were not given what you deserve. Oh my goodness, I found somebody now who understands me. 3 husbands didn't understand. 6 other people never. Nobody understood. My father, of course, never understood. He was old anyway. But now you understand me. Oh yeah, yes, I was not discovered. Of course, she's too old for Bollywood or anything. Everybody thinks, especially the Indian, to be discovered by Bollywood. What does it mean? We don't know. A bit of money for 2 days and then decrepit and completely on drugs. Anyway, where does it end? Where did it begin? What a divine plot, which is only revealed by the quest for origin, the thirst for oneness. Everybody is desperate for that. If I am to share with you one thing which is genuine and deep, and that is the ayah in the Quran says, and I did not create the jinn and the ins except to worship. Now, you have to make allowance for cultural change over hundreds of years. Worship implies you are obsessed with something and you love it obsessively to the point that you're willing at any minute to die for it. That is worship, ibadah. From it comes also the word to be smooth, abada, clear. So unless you're obsessed with the origin of the entire universe, whose light is also in you, you're not in ibadah. You're just going up and down, as the Prophet ﷺ says, so many people pray and there isn't much for them other than tired knees, and so many people fast and there isn't much for them other than hunger. Unless you're obsessed beyond limits, because that's what obsession is, with that eternal oneness, you're not being charged. You are all the time, mini, my. So you say, wait a minute until I change my mood. Allow them, so they go on. Now you can take a picture of me, so because my mood has changed. So It is thirst, desperation for the one. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And oneness is the light of the soul when you lose all shadows. That original light dispels all illusions of otherness. And what is left is the cosmic song of oneness, the soul's mate. That is your soulmate. That is why you seek out a partner, which is a bit of a resemblance of that, a touch of that. But don't have all these fancy expectations that he or she will deliver you from your own ever-residing, stupid, idiot darkness. Don't ever imagine. They may reduce a bit of your anxiety, illness, loneliness, material, whatever. But that's about it. If you have more expectations, then it will only lead to a disaster. I really thought you were going to save me. And the poor fellow will tell you, but I haven't saved myself from me, so how can I save you? I am also fumbling, mumbling. So what do you think? So it takes the ultimate generosity of ruthless honesty. Not easy, because everybody is a hypocrite. Oh, never mind, it's nice. No, it's not nice. That which I like to keep is not keepable. They brought this wonderful cup of gem to the ruler. And everybody says, this is the most amazing ruby of this size into a cup for the emperor. So everybody started clapping. And the ultimate reference for the ruler was a man of knowledge. So he looks at this man. He says, what do you think? The wise man lowered his head, the sage. So he came and asked him, he said, you must tell me, have you ever seen a ruby of this size? He said, this is going to be the source of endless grief for you. He says, but look, everybody is admiring it. Everybody is envious. 4 years afterwards, the cup falls and breaks to pieces. And the emperor calls for that sage. He said, you were so right, but I was 4 years out of date. I am in grief now. So watch out. That which comes may go. Watch out. You are here to be guided slowly by you being aside, by your own ruh, by your own soul, which is the leader, which is the source of your guidance, which is the presence of God in you, to awaken to the presence, infinite, complete presence of God, reality, always. If you have done that, then you have nearly completed your purpose. I was asked about Insan al-Kamil. It's a contradiction of term in our time. If you see again, culture changes. At the time of Geely, most people understood what it meant. But once you bring it to our present day, when you say complete, what does Kamil means? Any one of you with Arabic?
Whole.
Like a big hole. No.
W-H-O-L.
Okay. What else does it mean? Kamil. Huh? Perfect. Well, it's a contradiction of term because Allah says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. So insan, kamil, complete person, and says, the Quran says, certainly at all times, insan is a loser. So how can it be kamil? It's a loser, so how can it be complete? How can it be whole? What it meant is that he completed his responsibility. He completed what was upon him to do. What is upon you to do? To acknowledge who is your master, who is your origin, what is your source, what is your destiny. If you have done that, then you have completed your purpose. So it's completing your duty, your responsibility, your purpose. Otherwise you can't say I'm complete or I'm a whole. No, you're full of holes. It remains so. How many holes do you have? Every cell has its own hole. So watch out, you can't go into the treasures of the past without making considerable excursion into a forest of difficulties and hacking through that culture. Otherwise you start regurgitating more, but you don't get it. So Insan Kamil means a person who she or he fulfilled their responsibilities towards the higher self, towards their soul. Meaning, to recognize the lower self as an indicator of the higher self. Don't deny the ego. Don't deny the animals. Put them in a zoo and every now and then feed them. And every Christmas or Eid, give them a special party also. All right, now we are going for it. And then be disgusted and leave. And that's fine. You have to laugh at it. Otherwise you say, no, we are very special people. You know, we are these Sufi, goofy movies. What are you talking about? You're oozing. You know, if you don't go every 2-3 days to the toilet, you blow up and it will be a sewage outside. Watch out. You are decaying. So decay nicely with a bit of dignity and don't camouflage it only with perfume. Be honest, be real. It's for that reason you need to be with like-minded, like-hearted people. I am using a language that's not for everyone. That's why it's only few. Wherever you go, it's few. The Quran repeatedly reminds you. Few, 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 few. No less than 18 ayahs says, وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Most of them have no reason, no intellect, no rationality. وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَبْصُرُونَ. And. This is how it is. It's a process. It's an evolutionary process going on for millions of years. And it's a wonderful time you are in. Think of it if you were 3,000 years ago. If you have sneezed in the wrong way, in the wrong place, the despot or the emperor would have slaughtered you. Look at it, you can speak up your mind, although it may be rubbish, but at least you have expressed yourself. So you're less likely to have, cancer of depression or having... It's a wonderful time. Self-expression is important, even though it's bubble of ethane, methane gas. It's all right, at least. So, self-expression is the most wonderful, important part of your healthy life. So, your soulmate is already there, residing there. This is called perpetual love. Perpetual love has no mortality, no dignity. You love, you're in love, you're finished. There is no you. It is a field of energy that connects different and diverse entities. Diverse entities meaning different cultures, different background, different religions. Perpetual love has no mortality, no dignity, no love even. It is an aspect of high tawheed. For what changes except change itself? Movement and change, announcing the ever constant, the source of all dignity, constant. The nur of Allah is ever constant. Honor and reality are from it. They all emanate from perfect love, which is ever in perpetuity. It's very important to be kind, to be considerate, to be helpful, to be inclusive, to share and care. But you'll be fortunate if you are all the time able to touch a zone of unconditional love. Most of our activities in life are transactions. We are all traders, give and take. But perpetual, unconditional love is one-sided, one giver. Allah is the giver and we are all the takers. And be in gratitude. And that is why most people like to have something that they love. And it's more and more difficult to find a human being. So they end up with animals. And some of them, if they are in Africa also, they end up with a baby giraffe. Can you imagine? Suddenly, your wife Halima comes home with a baby giraffe. Now this poor fellow is a trader here in Lodium. And suddenly, they can't have baby giraffe in Lodium. Anyway, it's all right for donkeys, monkeys, but not for anyway. You need to have an excuse for unconditional love. It may be a mouse, it may be a cat, it may be a rat. But be sure that it's unlikely to be a human being for long. Because suddenly you find this person has changed. He was so docile when I married him. or she was very nice and very, very innocent. But now my God, she's going to all these courses. She's even learning Buddhism. She may not even be a Muslim anymore. I don't know what I did. Thank God my grandmother has died. Otherwise she would have fainted. She was already in a coma anyway, but it's here and before. You can never tell. This is how you must laugh, really. You must laugh at the stupidity of so-called normality. Now be normal. What do you mean be normal? You're sneezing. Any minute you have a heart attack. Then you go to sleep. Or you munch until there is nothing other than a clunch. You know. Laugh at this. But no, you have to appear to be wise and important. Especially if you are in a corporate world. Also you add all the pomposity and you put on these funny gowns. I don't know. It originated in Andalus so that the son, because they sent Christians from many parts of Europe, their children to learn in Andalus. That was the best university. So the son of a king arrives in Sevilla, wherever, dressed up with all kinds of brocades, and the son of a local peasant. So the teacher said, look, in the eye of God, you're all the same. So you have to put on a gown so as you hide your, all of the other things. So that is the origin of the gown, of the hiding of this. So either we all leave or the person whose cell is leaving leave. Bismillah. No choice. You have no choice. Desiring the best always. No choice in avoiding sorrow. No choice in grief and fears. Or loss and death. No choice in loving your own soul, where beauty and perfection lies. Watching the ego, a shadow that lurks, a shadow due to the light of the soul or spirit. No choice in accepting the trap of human limitations, yearning for boundlessness. No choice in desiring the freedom to choose. The most appropriate and the best always. We have no choice. This is Islam. Accepting. You have no choice. So the commercial world, which has gone rampant, is giving the illusion that you have a choice. How many different colors you can choose? The poor girl, she only wanted to, because she saw her stupid mother and others also having their nail varnish, and so she wants a red. But you have what red? How much there is in it? How many different shades of orange is there? So you end up, the poor little girl end up having every toe painted differently. No choice. You say, have you looked at that? Showing, lifting their feet also to show. Because they spend money on it. So. Or they want to, in winter, they want to have sandals where they show their stupid color of the nail. So as you're distracted, then you have an accident. That's it. More than 30% of car accidents are due to distraction. So watch out. There is freedom in no choice. I used to call it the freedom of no choice. I finish with a few more lines to add to your confusion so that you desire fusion. The one author, it is all the same, except in name. There is a beginning, then there is an end. Sometimes remembered, more often not. So they say once a year you would go for Hajj, we remember. What do you mean Hajj to where? Going around where? Where is it that Allah is not? Not only on earth, in the universe, in the cosmos. What are you doing? Where are you going? But ceremonial also movements are helpful reminders for that which is perpetual. There is a beginning, then there is an end, sometimes remembered, more often not. Energy and form appear, and then again not. Some questions produce answers except the why and the why not. An exception may show the illusion of the plot, and the author of time is and there is not. So you start by taking out not. It's not it. La ilaha, no. Why? You want the permanent. You want that which is beyond space and time. That which is beyond space and time created the shadow and the illusion of space and time, which is so-called you. So you and I and he and she are here in this world to move from a clear so-called identity. You have a name, you have a culture, you have a color, you have a country, you have an whatever. In order to move from this identity to the cosmic reality of Nur of Haqq. That is your purpose in life. Every other purpose, to be a good person, an honest person, a reasonable child, daughter, husband, wife, secondary. If you don't constantly recalibrate, reconnect with the original purpose, then you will go astray and you lead others also astray. Because you want to be with others, you want to be similar. We all want to be with like-minded, like-hearted. Watch out. For that you need constant referencing, constant reminders, constant chanting, perpetual salah, perpetual friendship that reminds you. Watch out. There is one author, one light from which zillions and billions of lights emerge. That's all what it is about. Don't deny your specificity. Don't deny your locality. You are born in a certain country, in a certain race. We are living in a world now that only those who see differentiated sameness succeed well in their career, in their life, in their friendship, in their universality. Don't deny your locality. You had a mother, you are somewhere, you are born on this earth, you hit your head, and look at the beauty of Sharia. You are supposed to remind yourself that you are traveling. If you are in a new country, a new place, you pray short. That this is not your abode. Because in your abode, you are supposed to switch off. But you are traveling, there are all kinds of... And in the past, the lunar month was kept alive because most of the time it was desert culture, desert religion. They traveled at night by the moon. So the lunar month was very important, more important, because they were not agriculture people. So then they had to adjust the lunar annual. And they brought in a month which was called the Forgotten Month. Every 3 years, 30 years of a month was skipped. So as if you were entering into agriculture, you could follow the solar. Anyway, all forgotten. We have a very skewed culture. Anyway, so it was truth that you had to be born somewhere, some religion, some color, some race. Don't deny it. But mankind is one. 7 different ayahs in the Quran and clearly remind you that human beings are all the children of Adam. It's the ultimate miracle. Can you imagine if 20% of the population had 8 toes? And if you were in the shoemaking business, you would have, impossible, type of work. What if 90% of the creation would only have, say, 5 fingers, 4 fingers, or what? Or 1 ear missing? And can you imagine? There is an amazing biophysiochemical uniformity. It's incredible. And this is where the world we are in now. So you can succeed better in trade if you can understand what the other side want, what the other side want. Their language, their body language, their this and that. So you become more and more universal. And therefore you can do better business, more understanding, more connecting, better bridges, languages, connectedness. And they tried in the past to cut across all of this. There were more than 8 or 9 attempts in the world to create one world language. The last one was Esperanto. So they didn't know it was ultimately the airline industry which will favor the English because of the air traffic controllers. They spoke in English. So, and of course France was up in arms because they wanted French to be the word, the sweeters. But no, this commercial language prevailed. Because everybody wants to fly and everybody wants to be a bird. But birds came after the dinosaurs. Now don't go back. Everybody wants to fly, you see. And they pollute this earth. 200,000-300,000 people hanging on earth complaining about their miserable little, micro oven breakfast or whatever. And then we talk about earth pollution. You're so polluted and you're so polluting, and then you say, no, we belong to the Green Party, whatever it is. The green has become black. You have to remake it. Mehmet, we must redo it. It's colorless. Really, every color is from it. We must laugh at us, how clumsy we are. There is only one, there has only been one, there will always be one. To appreciate and understand it, there are dualities, multiplicities, pluralities, differences. So accept the difference as the outer indicator of the unity which pervades all, outside, inside, and the middle. Don't deny outer difference. Inner sameness. If there was only that, it would be boring. Really, I would rather see different colors. Can you imagine if it's all gray? Can you imagine if the only meal you have had is one gray stuff that you put it in your mouth? No, you all like difference. Oh, this is a nicer jam. Oh no, and she makes better achar. If you want to be a good, mother-in-law, nice. But be careful because the quarrels all begin and end in the kitchen. Don't share the same kitchen with the poor new wife, you see, whatever it is. She wants to rule. It's become the cockpit, the kitchen. So that's why the husband crawls in very quietly and says, oh, you didn't put the sugar where it usually is. How do I know? So you don't belong here, go. So he does it in his office because the secretary there is obedient, you see. And if he's wise enough, he stays longer in the office, you see. Now, some of you know what I'm talking about. So you have to laugh at it. Everyone has within themselves the eternal light, beyond the boss, beyond the emperor, beyond any king. It is Nur al-Azal. Respect it. That's why the Quran says if you killed one person, you killed all. It's a soul. You have killed that which represents the permanent, the eternal. Thank you. I don't know who to thank. I thank you all, especially those who have made this meeting, this gathering possible. There are only few. There appear to be 20, 30, 50 people working, but actually I don't think I can count more than 4, 5, 6, maybe 10, maybe 15. And if I'm charitable, I say 20. But thank you all. It's very important for regular connectedness between people who are like-minded, like-hearted. Like-minded meaning my mind is different from yours. My mind is different now than it was an hour ago. But it only is a mind because there is a light in it from my life source, which is within my heart, which we call different language, different names, ruh, soul, spirit. We are all the same in spirit. And then you find the differences are all right, minor. What does it matter? A few hundred years between friends. Look at the evolution, millions of years. So be patient. Patience means stop time. Switch off time. That's patience. That's why Allah's name. And those things they put on the walls, which are called the 99 names, ends up with as-sabur. Timeless. Stop time. Stop time. And then you find, no, I have things to learn in this time and space. Again, I thank the one and only behind the infinite varieties who are yearning to be connected by that which is ever perfect in its permanence of presence of oneness. Good luck to you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.